Hello, hi, welcome all of you. Today we are going to discuss empathy, which is one of the foundational values of civil services. In the previous lectures, we have discussed various values, various foundational values of civil services, that is neutrality, impartiality, objectivity, dedication to public service, etc. In this lecture, we are going to discuss empathy, which is the very important foundational value. Because every year UPSC asks question on this particular value. Every year, either in case study or in theoretical part. This is going to come. So please listen this lecture very carefully so that you can write very good answers in your examination, as well as while attempting case studies also. Conceptual clarity is very important. In this lecture, we will also discuss the difference between sympathy, empathy, compassion. What is the difference between sympathy and empathy? What is the difference between empathy and compassion? We are going to discuss that. First, while coming to empathy, what is empathy? You all might have heard this word empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is, it is a cognitive, like you are thinking. What you are thinking? You are thinking about emotions. So empathy is related to your cognition as well as your emotion. Both. So you are imagining yourself in another's place or situation, and you are understanding their feelings. I have given you the definition. See the definition. You have to exactly reproduce the definition as it is in your exam. It is the ability to imagine. Imagine means you are thinking. It is your cognition. It is your thinking. What you are thinking? You are imagining yourself in another's place or another's situation, and you are understanding their feelings or emotions. That is the emotional aspect. This is the cognitive aspect, and this is the emotional aspect. This is the imagining, is the cognitive. Cognitive means thinking. Cognitive plus emotional. You are thinking and understanding their emotions, like others emotions, other human beings emotions, other colleagues emotions, other employees feelings or emotions, or other subordinates emotions, or other family members emotions. See, as a human being, as a individual, you are at your home, yeah, and also at your workplace, and also you are a part of this society. You are meeting various people. You are heading certain departments, certain organizations, certain districts. Many subordinates will work under you. How you are tackling them, how you are understanding their emotions, and how you are able to imagine yourself in their place, and you are understanding the situation, or you are able to imagine yourself in their place or in their situation, or the situations that they are going through. Empathy is widely recognized as universal virtue. Yes, it is widely. Yeah, as long as there is human existence on this earth or universe, this empathy is very important. All the religious texts, they have given special importance to empathy. That's why empathy is widely recognized as universal virtue, and it is closely related to compassion, tolerance, etc. It is essential for working towards inclusiveness in society. It is essential for working towards inclusiveness in society. Because, as I have already told you, for a country like India, where there is huge inequalities between rich and poor, and where a society divided based on caste, religion, region, etc. So, in such a society, you have to understand each other's emotions, each other's feelings. You should have that ability to think about others, other fellow citizens of this country. Coming to public servants have to empathize with weaker or vulnerable sections of the society. Who are those weaker or vulnerable sections of the society? I have mentioned women, children, old age people, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, transgenders, etc. You have to, as a public servant, as a DM or SP of a district, you have to empathize with them. You should have the ability to imagine yourself in their place, in their situation, and understand their feelings or emotions. If at all, for example, if a road is to be constructed, some of the settlements where these might be, there might be poor people living in those settlements. You need to clear those settlements for constructing the road. Then what you should do? You should give them alternate house or alternate some arrangement. Then only you can evacuate them. Without thinking about that, if you force the administration to clear that settlement, then what will happen? What those poor people will do? Where they can live? How much problem it is going to be created for them? Have you thought of such things before giving any order to your subordinates or to the administration? That is where this empathy will come. That is why we say if empathy is there, nothing else matters. If empathy is not there, nothing else matters. See, this is a very tricky statement what I have made. Because if empathy is there, if a civil servant, if a district collector, or a sub collector, or a SDPO, or a superintendent, or any civil servant, if he has empathy, nothing else matters. He will always think for the poor, vulnerable sections of the society. If he doesn't have empathy, again nothing else matters. He will apply force. He will have no human touch in his administration. He will not, people will not like him or her. So, to bring sustainable and inclusive growth, that is what our Niti Ayog has also set a goal. Even our sustainable development goals that were set by UN also mandate us for sustainable and inclusive growth. If you want sustainable and inclusive growth, what you should have as an administrator, as a public servant, as an administrator, yeah, or as a civil servant, you should have empathy. You should think about environment. You should think about poor and marginalized sections of society. Then only sustainable and inclusive growth can be possible. You should understand others' emotions. You should understand others' feelings. Then you can create peace and harmony in the society also. See, there are various religions, various linguistic communities in this country. If you understand others' feelings, if you understand others' cultures, if you understand others' traditions, if you are able to think about them, if you are able to imagine yourself in their place, for example, you are coming from a majority community. You should think about minority community. Your mind should be able to think that you should put yourself in their place. And you should understand their feelings. You should understand their emotions. Then you will empathize with those persons, with those communities. Then peace and harmony will be a consequence. There will be better law and order, there will be better development, there will be sustainable and inclusive growth. Because as an administrator, you are thinking for everyone. You are understanding everybody's feelings, everybody's emotions. You are able to think. You are able to imagine yourself in their place. As a district collector, you are able to imagine yourself in poor man's place, poor man's juggi or settlement, or their conditions of living. Then only you can make decisions, you can implement the schemes in a better way. Okay. So now coming to sympathy versus empathy. The conceptual clarity should be very, very important. So that you can better understand the case studies as well as you can write better answers. What is sympathy? Sympathy is associated with belief and cognition, belief and thinking. If you are rich, you have sympathy towards poor. So you are thinking about poor. You are seeing their conditions. You are seeing their conditions and then you are developing sympathy. So you can relate by facts and figures that okay, this is the amount of poverty in my district. This many people are poor. That's it. You would know factually, that's what I am saying. Then you would know factually what is meant by poverty. How many people, poor people are living in your district, are living in your sub district. You are thinking about them. How many? But what is empathy? Empathy goes beyond sympathy. It is not only thinking, not only finding the facts or figures, but you are able to understand their feelings or emotions. How you are able to understand? You are putting yourself in their place. And you are understanding from their point of view what are their emotions, what are their feelings. That's why I am saying it has both cognitive and emotional, both. Whereas sympathy is associated with cognitive only. That's why we are saying empathy is stronger than sympathy. So when you are thinking for other human beings, other poorer and marginalized sections of the society, then you are willing to do something for them. So empathy is creating a base for what? For society, individual versus society. We have already discussed this. Individual versus society. So you are more thinking about society. You are thinking about society. So empathy is creating a base for altruism because you are thinking about others' emotions, feelings. So you will do something for them. When you are thinking for them, when you are able to understand their emotions and feelings, then what is next? Your behavior, your actions. So empathy is a attitude. After that, what follows? Behavior and action. What behavior you will show towards poorer sections? You will have consultations with them. You will have meetings with them. You will go to their places. You will visit them. And you will do the needful. That is the action. What is the needful action? You will implement the schemes in a better fashion. You will ensure that last mile delivery is happening or not. You will hear their grievances properly and you will solve their problems. I hope you have understanding. What is the difference between sympathy and empathy? Sympathy is like you are cognitive, you are thinking about them. You are thinking about. But empathy, while coming to empathy, not only you are thinking about them, but you are also understanding their emotions and feelings. Next is compassion. What is compassion? Compassion is like you are going beyond empathy. That's what strength-wise sympathy. First comes empathy. Compassion is the ultimate value. It has got stronger. It has got stronger attitude. Compassion shows stronger attitude than empathy. Compassion is way beyond empathy. So under compassion, what you will do? Compassion is mostly targeted towards the weaker sections, towards the poor. Empathy means you can understand other person's pain or feeling or emotion. It can be for either whether that person is higher above you or whether he is lower than you. But compassion is targeted towards weaker section. That is the major difference. Because if you have got empathy, if one of your friend has met with an accident and he is bedridden, you are empathizing with him. It does not necessarily mean that your friend is a poor or your friend is a weaker section, coming from a weaker sections of the society. He might be rich or he might be of equal economic standing with you. But you are empathizing with him. You are understanding his emotions, feelings. He is suffering from pain. So what you will do? You will go to hospital. You will bring him some medicine or you will bring him some food. But what about compassion? Compassion, when we talk compassion, it is mostly we talk from the perspective of having feelings towards weaker sections. It is targeted towards weaker sections. So what you are doing for weaker sections out of compassion, what you are doing? You have compassion. That is a attitude. But what is your behavior? What is your action? For example, what Mother Teresa has done. We have written here. What Mother Teresa has done. Compassion is what made Mother Teresa leave her motherland. See, Mother Teresa has an attitude called compassion. So what was her behavior? What was her actions? Her action was that she left her motherland and she served selflessly in Kolkata for patients, for orphans. She worked selflessly for society. If you are working selflessly, ignoring your personal gains, you have only motive out of your personal benefit versus societal benefit. Personal versus society. When you are talking for society, ignoring your personal gains, that is called as altruism. That is called as altruism. Altruism and compassion are closely related. Altruism is about, we are writing here, action. It is a action part. What we are talking about, empathy, sympathy, these are all attitude. What is the action? Action is the altruistic behavior, we call. What is altruism? You are ignoring your own personal things. You are working for the society. That's what you are saying. Doing good things selflessly for the well-being of others. For example, you recovered from cancer. For example, in our case, a famous cricketer, Yuvraj Singh. He was affected with cancer, as we all know. He recovered from cancer. Then what he did? He understood the pain during that process. So he feel the pain for other cancer patients. That is called empathy. Empathy means you are understanding others' emotions and feelings. Then next step, what he did? He went beyond that. He built a charitable cancer hospital also. You all must be aware of that. That is called altruism. So altruism is what? It is behavior. It is behavior. Altruistic behavior and action. It comes after generation of your attitude. What is your attitude? That is empathy. That empathy, when Yuvraj Singh has generated, that he generated, that he able to understand others' emotions and feelings because he went through that phase. During in hospital, he got to know the pain of cancer patients. So he developed empathy. That is the attitude. So what is his behavior? What is his action? He built a cancer hospital for the welfare of the persons who got affected with cancer. That is what altruism is. That is the behavior. So what is sympathy and empathy? They are attitude. Out of attitude, if certain behavior is coming, because behavior, as we are already studied in chapter 2, that behavior follows attitude. You have developed attitude, accordingly your behavior and actions will follow. So what is the behavior? When I have empathy, it is a altruistic behavior. I hope you understood the difference between sympathy, empathy. Sympathy and empathy comes under attitude. Even for that matter, compassion also comes under attitude only. It is the strength of attitude. Coming to the strength, compassion as an attitude is of higher strength. Next is empathy. Next is sympathy. What is the behavior and action? That is called altruism. There comes the altruism. So these three are attitude and behavior is altruism, altruistic behavior. I hope you understood this. Again, coming to the same point, why do we need empathy? This question has been asked many times in UPSC exam. That's why I am giving you the model answers also. I am comparing here the British administration versus Indian administration and also Western countries versus India. Because Western, there is always a difference of there is always a conflict between objectivity versus empathy. There is always, these two values are contradictory to each other. Why? Because objectivity talks about overall. Empathy is targeted towards individual. That is the major difference. I will give you one example here. Recently, we had the long weekend, as you all know, Christmas and New Year. In that weekend, we had one important meeting. At the same time, many of my subordinates in my division, they all applied for leave and everybody has their tickets booked for them as well as for their families to celebrate Christmas and New Year at their chosen places across the country. But in the same week, one important meeting was scheduled. So my boss had to cancel the leave applications of all the employees working in my division. Everybody was upset. That is why my boss had cancelled. Why? Because he worked or his actions are based on objectivity. His actions we cannot call it as based on empathy. If that empathy criteria or the empathy as a value if dominated, then his action might have been something else. He might have granted leave to every employee. See, empathy always targets individuals. Your sensitivity towards an individual, your sensitivity in understanding their emotions, feelings. Yeah, I am very sensitive. As a boss, I will think that okay, if his leave is cancelled, all his family members will be affected. There will be financial loss also. If I think in that perspective, I cannot deny the leave to the employee. But at the same time, what will happen? I might be, if I grant leave to every employee who has asked for leave in that week, then what about the meeting? Then what about the outcome of the meeting? What will happen to that meeting, that important meeting? That is where my boss, has taken decisions based on a value called objectivity. His main focus was to smooth conducting of that important meeting and to ensure success of that meeting, rather than empathetic towards the employees, because it is okay. It is okay if they cancel the tickets. Every time he is not denying. But this time he has denied because he has some solid reason, because there is an important meeting scheduled in that week. Similarly, killing one terrorist might be important for the overall welfare of the society. So killing that person is justified. You are taking from the point of view of objectivity. But if you are empathetic to that terrorist, that if I kill this terrorist, then what about his family? How they will live? He has kids also. How they will live? If I think from that perspective, I cannot kill that terrorist. Then that terrorist will be threat to the society. He will kill so many individuals later. See, this is the basic contradiction in both the values, objectivity versus empathy. But what we are saying is that this is the objectivity is the important criteria in Western societies. Whereas in Indian society, we are emphasizing more on empathy. Why? Here I have noted certain points of the British administration, where in British administration, objectivity was the important value. There was no criteria for empathy at that point of time because they were treating India as a colonial country. They have that colonial mindset. The British administrators, the ICS officers, they were working, they had a motive. What was their motive? To protect British interest. To protect British interest. British, what interest? Economic, administrative, strategic interest of the British Empire. That is the overall objective. So our bureaucrats have inherited this colonial legacy. So what is the main point here is, as a bureaucrat, we must understand wherever you are posted, wherever the district you are posted, wherever the subdivision you are posted, or wherever be the secretariat you are posted, whatever the policies you are making, whatever the policies you are implementing, all those policies, programs shall have this empathy factor. Empathy factor means while implementing the policy as a district collector, you have to take care of the marginalized section, vulnerable sections in the district. Actually, after independence, our bureaucracy has inherited certain characteristics of the colonial legacy, that is like officer-like attitude, what we call ivory tower attitude, not meeting with people, not interacting with them. So in the process, what is happening? You are not able to understand what they are thinking, what are their emotions, what are their plight, what is their plight, what is their situation, what are all the problems they are facing. Until and unless you are not interacting with the common man, you are not interacting with the most poorest sections of the society, you will not understand their problems. But what is the objective? What is our objective? Our objective is inclusive growth. What our 12th five-year plan talked about, sustainable and inclusive growth. What it comprises? It comprises development of each and every sections of this population or the society. So you have to take care of everyone. What we call as Antyodaya, the last person in the last row. We have to think about that person. And we have to formulate such policies, we have to implement such programs so that that person will be benefited. If that person is benefited, all other people in the society or in your district will be benefited. That is why empathy is the most important factor. Empathy is very, very important in India. We have already discussed this. We have already discussed empathy in Western society because there is a contradiction between objectivity and empathy. So, lack of empathy. If you, as a civil servant, right now we are talking about the civil servants because this exam is recruiting the civil servants, recruiting the people who are fit for civil servant, who are fit to be a civil servant. So, if you lack empathy, what will it lead to? As you all know, empathy is an attitude. What is that attitude? You should develop that emotion, feelings, what others are thinking. You are putting yourself in another shoe and you are understanding their emotions and feelings. So, first of all, you will not able to understand others' problems, others' situations. So, it will lead to intolerance. And also, lack of compassion. Compassion is behavior. Empathy is attitude. If you have empathy, Behavior follows attitude. So your attitude is empathy. So definitely you will have compassion. Compassion towards what? Weaker sections. So if you are lacking empathy, it means you are lacking compassion also. So lack of compassion towards whom? Everyone around you. Not only minorities, women, children, other fellow human beings. At the same time, we are talking about animals, environment. That is why we have been emphasizing and again that our target is sustainable and inclusive growth. So we have to take care of our environment, our earth. So what is happening now with the rise of social media and internet? What is happening? It is being witnessed in our personal lives, in our professional lives. What we are doing in personal lives? We are not meeting people. Even today, marriages are also happening on Facebook Live or YouTube. A link will be provided and you can see the marriage. People are not meeting. If people are not meeting, people are only talking over the phone, talking over the Facebook, Instagram. They can't develop empathetic understanding of the other person's problem. Maybe that may be your family member, or maybe it may be your relative, or it may be your friend. You cannot understand their emotions and feeling. And at the same time, what is happening in the online social platforms? People are trolling anybody because in front of that person, nobody will say. But since the online platforms are providing anonymity, they are trolling. They are trolling the celebrities, they are trolling popular politicians, etc. At the same time, there is problems of cyber stalking, cyber crimes, cyber violence against women. Because since online platforms are providing anonymity, people are doing it because they are thinking that we are not visible. We have created a fake profile. So our true identity is not exposed. So we can do whatever we want. That is the approach. So what is happening? So empathy levels have been declining. You are not understanding other person's emotions, feeling, even in your workplace or in your personal lives. That's what it has been written. It is difficult to abuse a person in real life. But since online platforms like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, they are providing you that anonymity, you are abusing any person in the online forum. You are trolling any person without having any sympathy, without having any empathy. So definitely with the rise of social media and internet, empathy levels are being declined. This is a serious concern. So what to do? How we can cultivate empathy? This is most important because in UPSC multiple years, in every year, the question is being asked about this. Why? Because empathy is very, very important, basic foundational value of Indian civil service. Because our society is divided caste wise, religion wise, wealth wise. It is a divided society. As a civil servant, you have to mingle with all sections of the society. You have to understand all the person's problems, and you have to, at the end of the day, you have to solve also. That is why civil servant must have this attitude of must have this value, that is empathy. So how can we cultivate? Art, literature, cinema. Yes, definitely. The movies, like many movies, they have portrayed. For example, I have given one example that Satyajit Ray's Patar Panchali. It portrays the poverty and rural India, and we have so many movies that has come up showcasing the poverty, showcasing the problems of the other sections of the so many sections of the society, vulnerable groups of the society, maybe tribals, maybe other backward classes, maybe scheduled castes, maybe women. There was a movie called Pink. It portrayed the women's problems. And there are so many other movies. So through movies, one, if you are watching the movie, if you are watching the cinema, or if you are watching any drama, if it is depicting the problems of those vulnerable groups, then you will empathize with those groups. And when you are in the administration, you will help those groups. Similarly, we are giving common holidays on Eid, Diwali, so that people of all religions will celebrate each other festivals, so that the tolerance will be developed. People will know about others' festivals, others' practices. others religion, and we are celebrating the festivals together. Similarly, the probationers of the civil services are being exposed to the NGOs. They are being taken to NGOs during their training. They are being taken to various places as part of Bharat Darshan to expose them to various cultures, various traditions, meeting various people, to know their problems, to know their situations, so that you can formulate a better policy, you can formulate a better program, and also you can implement those programs for their welfare. As you all know, Right to Education Act, the Honorable Supreme Court has given a judgment that all the schools across the country, whether it is a private school or a government school, or the school might be very good school, but they have to give 25% reservation to the weaker sections of the society, so that these, at the student level only, the students from the higher economic background and the lower economic background and middle economic background, all they will interact, and they will develop this attitude of empathy. They will learn from each other. The rich and poor will interact with each other, and they will cultivate the empathy for each other. This is a very good step taken by the Honorable Supreme Court, by the judiciary. And there are so many others you can think about that. Even I will also provide you model answer for this question, because this is very important. Because since the empathy is a very important foundational value for civil service, how we can cultivate empathy? That has been asked multiple times by the UPSC. So you have to prepare very good answer. That's it. And if you have any doubts, please feel free to mail me on my mail ID. That's it. Thank you everyone.